What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm doing my July wrap-up video. I don't know what this was, I'm sorry. I'm doing my July wrap-up video for this month. What am I saying? Let's start over. What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm doing my July wrap-up. Basically the month that I've read 0 books off of my physical TBR. I use my library a lot, my Kindle a lot. I only have 4 books that I read, which we love that for me, but it's fine. I did read 9 books this month and I loved pretty much all of them, so I'm really glad that I did. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first 3 books that I want to talk to you guys about today are going to be the books that I read for reading some popular books on TikTok. So I will link that video up above somewhere. Up there I do go more in depth in that video, but the first one that I read was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is a grumpy sunshine billionaire workplace romance. While I was reading it, I was very critical of this book. I don't really know why, because looking back at it, this book made me really happy. I think at the end of the day, that's what I take home from this book. That's what I take like away from that book. It just made me really happy, in a really good mood. It was just so much fun. I'm not going to talk about this one too much, but I loved it. It was really good, 4 stars, and I will for sure be continuing this series. It was really good. The other one that I read for that vlog was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Scores. I loved that one. It was my favorite one that I read for that vlog. Another grumpy sunshine, small town romance, single dad. I really like that one, especially the epilogue. I am not someone that loves epilogue in books normally, but that one made me tear up. It was so good. I loved it. I still think about that book from time to time today, and I love that one. It was very long. It was like 500 pages. I don't know if it needed to be that long, but I really enjoyed that one. I would highly recommend that one. And then the last one that I read was Twisted Love by Huang. This one is it's not a grumpy sunshine. It's like a I hate everybody but you trope, which is not my favorite one. It's a brother's best friend trope, which once again not my favorite one. It was good. It wasn't amazing. I'm happy that I read it because I have continued on with the series. You guys will see. But that first one, I don't know. I wasn't in love with it. I was a little bit of a disappointed. It was a little bit of a disappointing read, but I still really enjoyed this one. And I did continue on with this series, and I did read Twisted Game, which is the second book in the series, and that one was really cute. I really enjoyed that one. This is a bodyguard romance, which I thought was really fun. It's basically Princess Diary 2, but like in a book with more steam, with like more spice. That's pretty much the basic of the story, but I ate it up. It was just so much fun. I thought it was really cute and adorable. I did write in my notes like, we get it, he's tall, because I will say there were so many references to his height. Like, it was so funny. I even like wrote down one quote because they kept referencing his height, like he was really tall. And at one point he says the guard, like he's talking about someone else, and he says the guard drew himself up to his full height, which was still a good 6 inches shorter than me. It's like it's a typical steamy romance book. I thought it was really cute, but nothing like incredible, but I still really enjoyed that one, and I'm really happy that I read it. The next book that I want to talk to you guys about is going to be The Heart Principale by Huang. This one has my heart. I love this one so much. This is the 3rd and last book in this series. This is about Anna, who is a violinist, and she gets like viral on YouTube because she does this like really she has this moment on YouTube, and then after that her life she experienced a lot of like anxiety and depression, and this book is really hard to read. Please check out trigger warnings before getting into this book, because I'm not someone that like has anxiety or depression or anything, but it brought up anxiety in me, and I'm not someone that has anxiety, so I would like, for someone who does suffer from anxiety and depression, I think this book, like I said, just check out trigger warnings before reading this book, because it was a hard book to read, It talks all about depression and, like I said, anxiety. At one point, Anna kind of becomes this caregiver to someone really close to her. There's like grief in this book. It was just a really hard book to read, but I love this one. Do not think this is a like typical romance book, because it is not at all. It is much more than that. It's just, like I said, it's heart-wrenching. I just loved it. I loved Huang, I think his name is how you pronounce it, I'm not really sure. I loved their relationship, but it was just so sad, because I just felt like he was like, I just felt like he was loving her, but she couldn't really reciprocate in the way that he deserved it, and he wasn't really the person that should have, like, he was there for her, but he wasn't the person that should have been there for her, and like it wasn't what he signed up for, if that makes any sense. But I thought they were so cute together, and so like they were like perfect for each other. I don't know, I love this book so freaking much. I would highly recommend this whole series in general. I just loved it all. I just loved all 3 books, but this one was my favorite one. This is not a fluffy fun romance book at all. It has some romance in it, obviously, but it's the one that has the least romance out of the 3 books, and it's the one that is the hardest to read out of the 3 books. But it was so good. I love this one so freaking much. Next book that I want to talk to you guys about is going to be the Roughest Draft. I don't remember who it is by, but I will put a cover right there. I read it from my library, and I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was so cute. I really like this. Is about these 2 authors that had wrote in the past like a hit book. It was one of those like bestseller book on everywhere. Everyone knew about that book, but then something happened and they stopped talking to each other. They stopped, like, she stopped writing completely and he started writing on his own, but they still have like 1 book on their contract, so they have to write this book together because of their contract. So they go back and in this little house where they wrote the first book, and then they write the last book together in this house, and it has flashback of what happened the first time that they're writing together, and in present time it's a romance book, so them falling in love. And I thought it was really good. A lot of people compare this to beach read or book lovers, and I do think if you like those books, then you will like this one. I think this one, it went in more details about like the writing process, which is really interesting. I'm not a writer, I don't know anything about that process, but I think it was really fun to see. Like, it went in way more details, like of them writing and how they would write and what's the process and everything, which I thought was really interesting. This book is like miscommunication times like 1,000. Like, they both cannot communicate with each other besides writing to each other through their book. So they're not even writing to each other, they're like writing their novel and they're like expressing their feelings through their novel, but they're not communicating with each other, which I completely understand if people thought it was annoying, because it got annoying at some point, because you were just sitting there reading it and like just talk to each other and everything would be fine, but they just couldn't. I didn't really 100% get the conflict from the past as well. I didn't really get why, because of that, they stopped talking for so long. It just felt like a little blown out of proportion for me, I think. And also, this is very much a slow burn book. They only really get together in the last portion of the page, so it is very much a slow burn. But I really enjoyed that one, and I will highly recommend it. It's a very good summer read as well, if you guys are into that. I thought it was really good, and I really enjoyed this one. The next 2 books that I want to talk to you guys about is going to be The Inheritance Game, and I also read the Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barn. I read this one because I don't know why I decided to pick it up and I flew through the first one. I love the first one so much. This is about a girl named Avery, and one day this guy comes to see her and tells her that this really rich man basically gave her everything in his will, but the only catch is that she has to live in his mansion with all of the other people that did not get anything from the will, like his family that didn't get anything from the will. The man was very much in like riddles and like games and everything, and so he left clues on why he left everything to her and not his family, and that's what the first book is about. And I ate this one up. I read it so quickly. It is a YA mystery thriller book, so it's super quick to read, it's super fast paced, and I really enjoyed this one. Is it the best thriller out there? No, Were the plot twists like super surprising? Not really. I did see a few of them coming, but it was just such a fun time, and I read this one so quickly. I could not put this one down, so I immediately picked up the second one from that series, and I really enjoyed it. I know people did not love it. I was looking on Goodreads, and like ratings for that one, the second one, were not that good, which I don't know why, because I really enjoyed it. It did suffer a little bit from like second book syndrome, maybe, and I do feel like a few characters were brought into the second one and that had like way more page time, like screen time, but like they were way more present in the story, and I don't know why. Like, why are they now like that important in the book, where in the first one they were not. The first one is very much like Avery and the four brothers, and then the second one we bring in some other people, which I was like, why are you there? I don't care. I really like the relationship between Avery and the four brothers. That was like my favorite part of the book. But I still really enjoyed it. I love the love triangle. I know people did not like it, but I liked it. I'm team Jameson, if you guys are wondering. But yeah, I really liked it. Let's see what else did I read. I do say like this book kind of feels like a filler, but a really fun filler book. So that's kind of just my takeaway from the book. It was like, it did suffer from second book syndrome, but it was just such a fun book to read that I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the third book to come out pretty soon, and I will for sure be reading it very soon. So we are already at my last book, and the last book that I read was Jade, Fire, Gold by June CL 10. I read this one, I picked it up. It's my only fantasy book that I read this month. I was not in the mood for fantasy book, but I really enjoyed this one. It took me a while to read it, but I thought it was really good. So this was just a really fun book. It wasn't the most interesting book and the most original YA fantasy book. No, it has a lot of trope that people like know from like YA fantasy, but I really enjoyed this one. People were comparing this to like Avatar, which I get the comparison, but like not really at the same time. I'm having like a hard time like remembering this book now that I'm like sitting down and actually have to talk about it, and I did not write any notes on it, so maybe it wasn't the best book that I read, but I remember really enjoying it while I was reading it. But like now that I'm sitting down, I don't remember like a ton of it, and I did read this one physically, so maybe I don't know. I've read a lot of like Asian inspired fantasy lately, so like the Poppy War, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and that's it. So not a lot, but like I read those two. It was fun reading this book because it had some reference to those two books, not those two books, but like things that happened in those two books, or things that are referenced in those two books. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it was just a fun Asian YA fantasy. I really enjoyed this one. I'm really happy that I read it. I'm not making any sense, which is really bad, but if you guys wanted to read it, I would highly recommend it. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Maybe it's more of a 3.5 stars now sitting back and like thinking about it, but while I was reading it, I loved it. So yeah. So yeah guys, that's it. Those are all of the books that I read this month. Have you read any of them? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night depending on when you're watching this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.